Good morning, folks. It is Saturday morning. We're going to do some Spelljammer combat and exploration page design. Give me a second here to check my signal. We'll go through the spiel, and then we'll launch into this for about an hour or so. So hold on real quick. Just checking my signal. See what my balance is like. Signal. See what my balance is like. Signal. That's probably pretty good. If there's any problems with the microphone balance to the background music, do please let me know so that we can attempt to improve. So hold on here. Beep, 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 beep. I've just posted that I'm live on Twitter. So if you follow me on Twitter at Phil Kearney, you've just got notification that I'm live. You're welcome to join me. I'm going to just boost my signal across Discords real quick. And then while we do that, I'll just go through my quick spiel and then we'll do some art. So, hey, my name is Phil. I create RPG supplements, role-playing game supplements, PDFs. I focus my attention right now specifically on 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. I've already produced a number of different supplements for D&D that are published on the DMsGuild. There is a link multiple links in the description down below to different books that I have created. You're welcome to click on any or all of them. Anything that I produce is 100% free preview. So if you click into those things, you can read the entire document cover to cover. If you're on a mobile phone, if you go into one of the product pages, you'll see an eye icon on the far right hand of the screen. And if you are on a tablet or desktop, then on the left side underneath the cover image here, you would see underneath that a link that says full preview. So if you click either on the full preview or the eye icon, either way, it'll pop open a PDF. It's probably about 150 different illustrations amongst those books. So if you're an art enthusiast, be welcome to check out the work that I've done. If you're a D&D enthusiast, enjoy the art and be welcome to read through the mechanics, play a game with them if you want. If you think they're cool, I'd certainly appreciate a purchase. So thanks a lot. The other way that you can support the channel and more artwork on stream is to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, keep everything flowing smoothly. So I'm just trying to accumulate enough. Here, let me drop down the volume on this. That is a little overbearing. There. Okay, so yeah, support the channel, help me grow. This is YouTube isn't really big on art streams or open form development streams like this, but we build RPGs. So we created this cover back around, I want to say maybe around episode 15 or so. And over the past number of sessions, these design streams specifically, we've been looking at the actual document that we have here that we're building inside of Word. And today we're working specifically on this scaling combat maps page. I'm a big fan of Fred Willard, who runs, go with big shout to Fred at how to RPG. Hold on, I want to go find his channel here real quick. How to RPG. Here he is. There we go. Big shout to Fred at How to RPG, because, and I'll explain for there. Yeah, you can certainly check him out at your leisure. But Fred at How to RPG, he was, I think he was looking at Dungeon Crawl Classics, or it may have actually been the original D. I honestly don't remember, but he was on a stream, and oh no, it was yeah. He was looking at the 5th edition Dungeon Master's Guide. And it was talking about the visual references inside of a document. He was looking at the page on like how to conduct a like how to build a castle or how to have property and stuff. And there weren't any diagrams. The images that were on the page didn't have anything to do with the topic of running a castle or a kingdom, and there was an entire color page map on the adjacent page, or it was a full page illustration, and it had nothing to do with a castle or like being a lord of the land or anything like that. And his comment was, if you're going to have image or visual assets inside of your book, you should just endeavor to have images that are relevant to the topic of conversation. And I would rather see, and he says, I would rather see more diagrams and more charts and tables and maps and visual explanations of what you're trying to explain in your RPG than beautiful illustrations that aren't relevant. So I really took that to heart. And in this book, what we're doing here, I was taking incredibly complicated scaling map mechanics and trying to condense them down to the most most succinct points possible in an attempt to prevent confusion. But during that process, it became apparent that I was shorthanding stuff way too much, that I needed to expand and deepen, like parse out each piece of information about like movement, and then parse that against like how maps look, parse that again like how movement work, how combat works at different scales. I needed to, instead of consolidating and compressing that information into a smaller amount of space, what I actually need to do is blow it out into more pages, so that you can just walk through very plainly what we're doing, like how you're moving at different speeds, what you can engage with at those different scales of maps, make all that stuff break down. So that's what we're in the process of doing. It's a big pain in the ass to have to break this thing apart. This was a full page of text, but I'm recognizing that I was shorthanding scaling movement at these incredible speeds. How do you depict that on the map? And then inside of that massive scaling, like 1,000 miles per square isn't practical for combat. But there are 3 scales of map that are relevant to space space combat. 500, 50, and 5-foot scale. And then we talk about weapon attacks on scaling maps, what kind of weapons you can engage with at the different scales that you're at, to help walk through why do you want to scale, like why do you want to change scales of maps at all. So having said all that, like this was all this information was previously in the previous episodes. If you check them out, this information was scattered, like each page was a different scale, and pieces of this information was on each of those pages, but we're now working on restructuring those pages so it talks about each mechanic inside of combat, and then with each aspect of those mechanics breaking down the differences of those mechanics at each scale. So it's all basically the same at every scale, but like you can't attack with a dagger at the 500-foot scale because you can't hit, you're too far away, right? So that's the relevance of weapon attacks on scaling maps. You can see what kind of weapons you can use at different scales, and ships look different at different scales. So that's what we're working on today. This is what I've come up with so far. This is how we're filling the space. We're looking, and right now my job is to just continue clean up on this map and make it look like I want it to look. I've also been picking at how we illustrate the Hammerhead ship. There was some aspects to it I wasn't happy with, so I'm just going in and making corrections here, and then I'll reload it into the vessel, into the vessel tokens once we're done. But so right now we are playing with this. We have disable layer mask. Like for example, we can re-enable that. Disable here. We're using different masks here to screen out behind. We're blocking off white space basically in the document to help get this stuff so you can read the text legibly. Am I speaking clearly enough? Oh man, but obviously, you know, if you get rid of this, you can see that we've talked about before how the bubble, the gravity field and the air bubble of a ship is the space that the ship occupies. So Like this area here is representing the gravity plane and the air bubble that the ship is inside of. It's spherical instead of oblong. In D&D, circles are squares. So technically, this square here is also within the space and the gravity plane, and technically the air envelope of the ship, even though it's being represented as a circle. That is just more aesthetically pleasing than just a big square, which looks weird. But technically in D&D, it's the same thing according to the Player's Handbook. So, having said that, we are currently going through the process of just basically making this page prettier, and we're going to spend an hour on this, and then that's probably all the time I'm going to spend today. Make it a short stream. I'm going to put 20 minutes on the block, so I've got 3 chains of 20 minutes of blocks each, and we're just going to pretty up this document. Probably mess around. Like, I'm not necessarily happy with how these things are sitting. So I want to find something that's aesthetically pleasing here, and once I do, I can duplicate. See, these things are just boxes, so I can move these things around freely as I need. So, there. Right, so I can make those changes at will. So I can sit inside of the Photoshop here, pull these out, and once I have all the text where I like it, I can export this into Word as a single page image to drop in behind the text here, and then that'll take care of that page. And all we have to do, we just have to do that off, if we keep doing that over and over again, we'll eventually end up with a finished product. Some pages don't need illustrations at all. Some are going to just be graphs and diagrams like this. Other pages will have like actual illustrations like we've done on previous streams where we're starting to place preliminary sketches on each page. So we can fill the book with visual assets between charts, tables, diagrams like this, and actual illustrations. So once we finish the actual page layouts, we'll know what spaces exist inside of the document that need to be filled, and we'll have a good idea of what kind of visual elements we need to fill them with. We'll start with charts and tables, and then we'll move into diagrams, and then we'll end with whatever illustrations are left over. So we'll probably end up with needing I'm going to guess we're going to need probably 30 illustrations inside of this book. And then potentially like maybe 40 or 50 diagrams like this. So once we build this, once we get accustomed to building diagrams like this, we should be able to move through that process much more quickly and be able to crack through a number of pages. And then we'll get down into the Light of Xeraxis adventure, and then we'll start looking at how we can organize information from page to page in an adventure supplement and use that information and that experience for when we're done with this and we go into our Eberron adventure. We can then use that acquired skill and experience to make our Eberron adventure that much better. So I'm really excited about this process. I really hope that you guys are interested and you want to tag along on this whole process of both this book and the Eberron adventure after this, and the Martial Powers character options book after that, which should take us through to the official launch of in 2024 next year. All that content and supplements to that stuff should probably take us to the release of the new Dungeons and Dragons books, and then we'll see how well everything that we've done so far has aligned with what is new, and be able to update our documents with the new mechanics, which should be minimal, but we'll see. So that's the process that we're going through right now, and right now we have one common grid behind all of these ships, so we can see how the ships change scales at these different the map is just a grid of squares. It's up to us to say how large each square is, and they're either 500, 50, or 5-foot scales, and at different ranges or at different scales of map, you're at different ranges from each other. And so I need to first make sure that the map looks clean. So we're going to we've got this square that we use. And this is still a rough map, but You can go through and separate these things like yonder. Because I got 1, 2, 3 squares between those and 1, 2, 3 squares between these to be consistent. Now I'm going to just go down to here. You know, intentionally, yeah. That's just, we can do a lot of really cool image manipulation with this. So I'm just going to keep at it. So these are maybe I want to, we're figuring stuff out as we go. Everything, all of this is all, we're just figuring stuff as we go. So enjoy the ride, y'all. Let's do that. There. Yeah, this is. I'm glad I'm having to tough these things out on this particular project because that's going to really help the I think the Eberron project that we've been working on. I think it's really going to help that be able to scale much easier. So now that we've got those spaces defined, let's get in here. I can clean up this grid, but for now, here's what we're doing. There's some inconsistencies on this map, but we can fix all those. Oops. We can fix all those in the back end. I don't want to bore you too much with details, but here, get bored with details. We can go back through and make these much cleaner later. Right now, I just want to make sure. I want to get the gist of this down here just so I can make sure I like how the visuals look. So that's what we're working on right now. Just give you guys a look at how this thing is shaping up for a little bit. This is work I have to do anyway, so I figured why not jump on stream and just do some nuts and bolts like this. I know it's not the most these are by far like the least favorite streams that I do, which is why I only do these things once a week. But like I said, I'm doing this so that folks can see how these things get built, what my process is involved with it. Eventually, we'll be doing Kickstarters, so we can use this as a frame of reference for proof that we get stuff done. It's a 500-foot scale, each square. A ship occupies one square on maps of this scale or any scale larger than 500 feet. And then at the 50-foot scale, a vessel occupies a number of squares equal to its space on maps of this scale, and a craft occupies one square on maps of this scale. Crafts are 1/10 the scale of vessels. Craft, as we've talked about in the previous screen, crafts there's major and minor helms. Major helms can go up to 10,000 miles per round in speed or 100 million miles per day, while minor helms can only go 1 million miles per day or 100 miles per round. And a major helm can move any vehicle up to 500 feet in size, while a minor helm can only move something up to 50 feet in size. So minor helms, you can fit a craft with a major helm if you want to, but a minor helm can't be fitted on a vessel. Vessels are too big for minor helms. Minor helms are also a lot less expensive, so you can make far more disposable combat or jump ships to be able to come and go off of a larger ship. There's gravity planes on the upper and lower side of a ship on either side of the gravity plane. Most of the inhabitant and living stuff happens on the top side of a ship's plan, but the bottom side is mostly unmapped and unused. So using these ideas, you could easily see how you could tether this fighter craft. You could tether it underneath this ship. Just to grab this real quick, just to exemplify what I'm talking about. Let me see if I find my layer. Where's my bit? Give me my bit. There we go. Here's a flitter. You can see how this could easily, if this is the underside of the ship, I could easily moor one here, one here, one here, and one here. I could have 5 of these, easily have 5 of these ships just basically hanging underneath this larger vessel. So that, in second edition, they had these things called armadas, which was an elven ship that was basically a 500-foot wingspan that would have a ton of these little flitter ships clipped onto it as basically squadrons of fighter ships that their armada would come in with a major helm, and then it would disperse all of these little fighter craft that would then be able to go and swarm enemy ships. And you'll see as we get further into the document how these ships have stickiness, even though these minor helms can only move 1% of the maximum speed of a vessel. If these little fighter craft can get inside of the gravity plane of a larger ship, you can align your plane, and we'll talk about that later in another day. But you can align your gravity planes together, and while you stay inside that gravity plane, you can basically hitchhike on that larger vessel. Space sharks called scavers do that with Canary, which are space whales. They get inside of something else's gravity plane, and then they just stick on you and chew on you. So you have to stun them for a moment, or knock out their concentration, so that you can disrupt them from having a hold on your gravity field so you can get away from them and then jump off to higher speeds to get away. That's like one of the fighter tactics that we talk about inside the book, which is a lot of fun. So it gives you reason to operate at the 50 foot and the 5 foot, 50 foot, and 500 foot scales. You can change these different scales to engage with ships and creatures that in different ways, which we go into detail throughout the book. But that's the thought process that goes on behind these things. So having said all that, we will continue on with our quest to make squares. Making squares. So we can get this guy out of the way. And this is really rough, but that's okay. We're just trying to get the we can go back through and have a better. We're going to have to go through and have a better grid. So, but for now, I just want to get these. I just want to do this so we can just visualize the thing better. And it's a fun little thing to do on a Saturday morning. So when our hour is done, I have more pages to break down and rebuild. But I find. Not a lot of, I don't think a lot of people are very interested in watching me manipulate text and try to muscle my way through how to describe mechanics, because it's a lot of me grumbling, erasing, adding, moving text around, cutting, pasting. It's not very engaging content. I can't actually really talk to anybody effectively while I'm going through that ideation process and trying to wordsmith stuff. So I tend to not stream that. I do that on Mondays with Marshall Powers, but I don't do hard development. I just pick at text and do like a quality of life improvement on wording sometimes, but not like hard raw mechanic development. If there's interest in that sort of work, if people want to see that, then definitely drop me a comment. Let me know that you want to, watch me chew on text in frustration. I'm happy to do it if there's interest. So far the view count doesn't indicate that there's any interest in doing that. I actually find my Eberron mapping, the cartography for the Eberron adventure that I've been doing, that actually has the largest amount of engagement of anything that I do on my streams. That's actually really exciting because we're going to spend a lot of time in Eberron once we get through this project and we dive deep into that one. I am looking forward to that. This will be a fun challenge. There. Hey, how you doing? Watching the grids is actually kind of relaxing. Excellent. I've considered ASMR. Thank you. I think it's a wonderful way to unspool. Art in general is something I can turn off my brain and do. So it's cool that you can turn off your brain along with me. I think the music helps a lot. It's a pretty. Ooh, there's my 20-minute timer. So I've got another 40 minutes. I'm going to be picking at this stuff. So once I get the grid map done, I'll be working on I've got some edits I need to do to the hammer ship illustration over here. I want to further develop the deck plan for this. We've been building this out. If we get to it, I'll show you. Shouldn't take too long. Yeah, so this is a 100-page document that we built, and the back 25 pages is specifically converting the Spelljammer adventure, Light as Araxis, taking all the encounters, like all the ship combat encounters and exploration challenges that are inside of that adventure, and translate them into using this system that we built. So the document, when it's on DMsGuild, of course, it'll be 100% free preview. All my stuff's 100% preview. There's links in the description down below. You can check out my shit. But once this publishes, it provides like the first 75-ish pages is like all the different scales of combat, how you can it goes into all sorts of stuff, like if you want to throw, like if you had a moon smash into a planet, how much damage is that going to do? Like super massive scale stuff. Like if you're like, how likely are you going to see somebody drifting through space if they're 1,000 miles away from where your ship is right now? Like a lot of very niche details that can scale with the map, so that you can, and here we have this now you can see like this flitter ship at the 500-foot scale. And when you're representing a map, these ships are kind of like pixies in a dungeon, right? Pixies are tiny creatures, but when you're on a 5-foot scale map, the pixie fills that space, even though the pixie is only 1 foot tall. The map is, you're representing their position at the scale that the map is representing. And in D&D, typically everything's at 5-foot scale. But these ships are so massive, obviously that's ridiculous to assume that you can do that. But Wizards hasn't really provided any information about how you should change scale. But the fact that they have all these little minis, all these ship minis that they're selling, says to everybody that they were trying to figure it out and they didn't. So using this system that we've developed here, you can use those minis or the tokens that I provide and actually conduct space combat on a grid map, like this book details. But it also has all like those super deep details, like I'm saying, like if somebody is just drifting through space and you're 1,000 miles away from them, how likely are you to see them? We have all these different, we have the scaling system of being able to detect things on your orrery, which is like a magical sonar. And then there's also like noticing things visually, like with a perception or an investigation check. And then there's different, depending on how far away different sized objects are, sets the DC for how difficult that is. And they can do things like a ranger using their favored enemy, gaining advantage to make to use Spelljammer equipment to, like, say, like if your favorite enemy is Neogi or a Lithid, then if you're hunting a Lithid through wild space, you can use your favorite foe to gain advantage on the checks while you're using a scanning system, like you're using an orrery scanner to investigate the wild space around you to see if you're picking up on telltale signs of your favorite enemy in the area, like stuff like that. Super deep detail, super just like a lot of logical structuring, so that you have more rules for the DM to create rulings from. It just basically, all of this builds just a common language that a DM can use as guidance for them to deal with unusual situations like that, and to be able to parse through that data. So that's the effort. It's like all, in my opinion, it's like all the stuff that if Wizards had another 80 pages to put in their books, they probably would have put stuff like that in here. Or stuff in here would have probably been stuff that they wouldn't have mentioned. They would obviously express it much differently than I would. But you know, I've got the time and the resources to do these things, so I'm going to do them. It's improving 5e books is what I like to do. It's my hobby. So, cheers. Now we're going to break this down like that. 5-foot scale difference. Like that. I spy with my eyes some sort of comment. So give me a second, I want to check that out. Yeah. My friend is running a Dark Matter, Esper, Genesis, Spelljammer inspired take on SKT, so this will help him. Fantastic. Like I said, you'll be able to read all of it at no cost if you just click on the free preview. Here, I'll do a burst of advertising for myself real quick. Let's go to DMsGuild and let's look at my color mana mechanics. Tap, untap, burn. This is the 5-color mana Magic the Gathering inspired system that I came up with a couple years ago. That's almost a gold seller now. So you're reviewing, this is the bundle that I have. It's actually in the color mana description down below. These are all the books that I've created that use color mana. And this is the core mechanics book, which is basically the flagship for it. On Monday, I do a design stream called Martial Powers. It's a mana system for like barbarians, fighters, monks, rogues to use, so they can use mana like Magic the Gathering color mana, or like airbender, or like elemental bending, to be able to do different type of combat skill boosts and sustained effects. But this is that full preview link I talk about. And here's the PDF. It pops open. It says 75 pages here. And if you look at the document over here, it says it's a 75-page document. So everything that I publish, you can always read 100%. But most of my stuff comes with like zip files full of tokens and different assets for you to use the mechanics. But so you can see like the different illustrations and stuff. And obviously it has a sample thing on here. But when this book publishes, your friends and yourself, you can dive through the book that we're building. You can see like all these mechanics will be available for people to freely. This book needs a change in format. So once one D&D comes out, we're going to change the format of this book to just be a quality improvement. But and here's the color mana. I have this little control panel up here. This is the mana flow chart that we built for you to move color mana tokens from one section to the other. And then we got this table of content thing here. You click that, it takes you back to the table of contents. So color magic paradigm. So it's all fully PDF triggered. It's all heavily navigatable. So we'll build a navigation bar for the Spelljammer book once we finish with the page formatting. We know how all the text is going to actually sit on the page. We'll be able to build out like at the top of this page, we'll have like a little, filigree here, and then filigree down the side, depending on how it's supposed to look. And we'll have, our page number down here, and we'll probably have like a control panel down here with the page number in the center showing where you're at. And then we can have like little icons showing where we've been and icons for showing where we're going. So you can click on things to move to different pieces inside of the book, just to be able to move from piece to piece. And then the actual document, we have, let's get rid of this real quick. I'll get back to art in a second. I just like talking about the book. I have all these links, it says here, weapon attack scaling. So the different types of weapons, that's on here as well. It says different types of weapons can be used at different scales of combat as described here. More information about each type of weapon is detailed in the weapons and crew section below. There's like maybe 15 pages of like like ballista, different types of rams, grappling claws, all that stuff, like different weapons systems that you can use. But in the document here, you see it's highlighted. This is going to end up being a hyperlink. So you can click on this and it would automatically take you down to the, move past the ship roles. The ship roles we have are broken down by action economy. So like object interaction, a verbal command, your normal actions, or if you're using an attack, your iterative attacks you have each round, bonus actions and reactions. You can use your action economy as a pilot, as a siege commander, basically ordering weapon teams to fire ballistas and stuff. Squadron commander options, if you have more than one ship that you're in command of, you can use action economy to order those ships to attack as a single, basically battle platform. And then support roles. You can mix and match your actions freely, which we talked about in here. Like if you got an Umber Hulk on deck, you could throw a disintegration spell at it with an action. You could then move the ship 5 feet to get away from the Neogi ship that dropped it on there. You could use a bonus action to like disengage or ram. You've got all these different actions that you can use that you can freely mix between each other. Like I could verbally take command of a siege weapon. Use my attack actions to have that siege action, to have that siege crew make multiple attacks. Use my bonus action to disengage from the enemy ship that we're attacking. Use my object interaction to then move the ship away safely without taking opportunity attacks from that enemy ship. And if I need to, I can either deflect an attack, I can use an opportunity attack against a ship that's attempting to escape me. Or like if I'm as a siege commander, I could, if my weapon crew fucks up reloading their weapon and it prevents me from making more attacks, I can use my reaction to specifically command them and help them reload the weapon so that we can potentially make more attacks that round. So all this action economy is broken down into all these different roles. So we'll walk through how all that stuff works. And then you get down into the actual weapons and crew, which we had hyperlinked above. If you clicked on that hyperlink, it would drop you to this page immediately, where it starts talking about the difference between siege weapons, mounted weapons. Mounted weapons were in Descent into Avernus on the Infernal War Machines. And the Infernal War Machines mechanics inspired our fightercraft mechanics. And the fightercraft mechanics and the spelljamming, we'd already built the Infernal War Machine mechanics as part of our mass combat system that we've just been developing, period. But then when Spelljammer was officially published, we immediately saw, and I've got a team of, I've got a co-writer and an editor, as well as about 15 different people that have been playtesting with me. So we've got a slew of people, and when this book dropped, we immediately saw that the vehicle combat mechanics that we had already created to use in Descent into Avernus were we could just completely transport them into Spelljammer. We just had to increase the scale. So we had already figured out how to change scale for the mass combat system that we had developed, and now we were just able to use that same scaling mechanism here in Spelljammer. And since Spelljammer is a hot topic, it sounded like it would be smart to use Spelljammer as a pardon the pun, as a vehicle to expand into different mass combat systems that we'll then be able to develop after this. And just like with Lies of Xeraxis, we can use the Dragonlance adventure campaign to explain or to showcase how these mass combat rules can be used by having the campaign and the board game restructured so that your character is the commander of a squad or a platoon of Solamnic Knights that you can use as a resource for you to attack larger scale enemies. So yeah, it's a lot. I mean, it's a shitload of, hey Tyler, it's good to see you, my man. So it's good. I mean, it's taking 5e in far beyond the dungeon punk type of combat scaling that Wizards has provided for us so far, but this is what can be done with a D20 game or the 5e game system specifically. So since all these ideas are inspired by Wizards of the Coast, and I'm a D&D nut, it's been, instead of publishing this independently like on DTRPG or whatever, I'm just using 5th edition to basically as proofs of concept, because I built all these mechanics we use with those adventures. So give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. If they are inspiring me to do these things, I really ought to put these things out on the DMsGuild to have as a resource for people to use with Dungeons and Dragons stuff. If I decide I want to go off and make my own game campaign or something, I'd probably use the Essence 20 system like G.I. Joe and Power Rangers and Transformers, because I like Essence 20. It's a neat system, but it's not D&D. So, you know, I'm in D&D. But now we have our 50-foot scale here, so you can see like the flitter fits inside of one 50-foot square, while the hammerhead ship is a 5x5, like bigger than like giant, you know. It fits inside of a 5x5 space. It has its gravity plane that creates a bubble around it, and the air is a bubble inside of it as well. I think one of the things I'm really excited about, and I'm looking forward to seeing, is that when we start looking at like movement and stuff in combat, we can use this bubble to let's see if I can do this thing real quick here. I can have a streak after, like, if you have, like, if I'm showing a ship is here and this is the path of travel that it went through, you know, I can use this as a streak to show the movement that you're making during a turn. So I can like have this clever little trailing air supply to indicate where, like in the map, I have to be able to show you like how movement works and like if you're maneuvering and stuff, how that looks. And I can use this trail, this air bubble color as a means of having like that dotted line naturally moving through the ship. Anyway, that's a thought. So that's what I'm thinking. But right now, since we have worked on this, the next piece that I want to work on is, let's see, I can disable this map and you can see like the full grid is here. And I've built this mask layer to conceal that stuff, but I'm going to hit save right now. And I am going to grab my fuzzy blending brush and take my eraser down to 10%. And I just want to play around with manipulating what's visible like this. Like I can do a map fade in around the edges. I just want to see if that looks fun, like if I like that or not. Like, because I don't have to do this, but if it's neat, why not? So I'm just gonna futz around with this for a few minutes. But yeah, this is an incredibly ambitious project. The testing was fun as hell. We've been able to translate all of the different encounters in Light of Xeraxis into using this system effectively, and it opens the door for us just doing a tons of other stuff. So, you know, I'm looking forward to the future with these things. There's just so much stuff that I can do. And they're all just little things, like little ideas that you can build off of. Like Gundam Mecha is super easy to do with this system. Just reshape these fighter craft basically into humanoid golems or warforged or Escaflowne mecha suits, and just stat out. You know, we already have all the ability to use melee weapons with these different scaling vessels, so there's no reason why we can't make Evangelions, Jaegers, Gundam, you know, Ghost in the Shell style mecha tank. All that stuff is super easy for us to do, and that kind of leans into the Infernal War Machines from Descent into Avernus, which was a lot of fun to playtest. And once this is done and the mass combat system with Dragonlance is published, we can use all of these things together in Descent into Avernus. And we also have the kingdom scaling of running a guild or a kingdom, which we can also use in Descent into Avernus for you to use Elturel as a resource hub and base of operation. 20 minutes. As a base of operation while you're in Hell, so that you can potentially form a third faction fighting in the Blood War while you are attempting to find a way to pull Elturel out of Hell. So you can defend it, command it, gain control of infernal war machines to be able to fight off demons and devils. And that would, assuming that that Wizard of the Coast still allows us to publish stuff, that would be kind of like the capstone of all the stuff that we've been building, all these different mechanics working together to pretty much allow you to fight in the Blood War, basically. And then we can riff off of that for however long we want, like forever. Hey! Nitro, man, how'd the game go last night? Yeah, I mean, Wizards leans way... You can tell that Wizards kind of leans into content producers on the DMs Guild, but I love it. I mean, I'm eventually going to want to branch out and like do my own stuff, whether it's going to be in Shadow Dark or OSR or create my own thing, but... The DMs, most people say, and I completely agree with it, the DMs Guild creates a really safe environment for somebody like me to learn how to make good-looking books, how to be able to present information logically. It's training wheels. It's basically training wheels for designers. And the stuff that I do isn't necessarily very mainstream, but it's stuff that I use, and enough people apparently buy this stuff that it's obviously worth it to continue the effort. But I think in time it'll be able to accumulate. I'll have a good body of work of like, you know, ideas that we'll be able to lean into. Here's stuff that Phil can do. He obviously has a method of creation. If I start doing Kickstarters, this is a really great, like this and all the other books are really great proofs of concept that I'm going to get the thing done. So that's the big brain idea there. Talking business again. Sorry about that, folks. But that's the fade-in idea there. Because I like the idea of being able to see the air bubble, but not having it. But I can't have it get in the way of the text. So this is kind of where I'm at with it. I don't know if it looks good or not. Sorry, I'm Bastion. So you're saying, Nitro, you're saying we have time, basically. I guess the issue is are they going to get out of Bastion before or after I publish the adventure? It should, I mean, if everything stays on course, it'll be published this year. So this will take a couple of months for me to finish, and then we should be able to... I'm thinking in July we'll probably be working on Eberron exclusively. But I can't rush genius, so it'll parse out when it parses out. Let's see, Dreams says, hold on, I'm gonna adjust my window here. What you talking, Dreams? The only reason I'm publishing my own setting on DT is because they don't allow original settings. Yes. Working on SK. Hey, cool. And Senior Method's helping us, and I always like having new material to use for my games. Awesome, man. Well, yeah, my shit's designed to be used. So I run campaigns from level 1 to 20 in about 250 hours normally. So most of the books that I've created were inspired by stuff that I run across inside of my own games or things that I wish existed that I could DM. Like the color mana system is something that I absolutely just adore. And so I'm gonna actually, I like what this is, but I want to work on the hammer ship. So we're gonna shift gears and we're gonna work on the hammer ship a bit. All right, so this is here. I'm gonna show you guys something here real quick. This is just between you and me. D&D Beyond. Check this out. Let's go to sources. I got alarms popping off all over the place. Let's go to Spelljammer. This is the old all the ship decks that they have. They picked up from the second edition. They basically just they own the assets. They basically just covered it, right? So here's the hammer ship. Here's the top of the hammer ship, right? I didn't completely copy paste, you know. I took it as the general guideline for how I want my ship to look, but I stare at these images for a long time, and I don't always see things when I see them. But I don't like how this looks. I don't like how this looks. This, I think, looks awfully phallic, and I think this needs some pasties, honestly. So I'm not happy with how this art looks. It's just a little, it's too easily, I see things I don't think I want to see. So I want to change it. So we're in the process of changing the format of this so it doesn't look so, well, I want to change it. So that's what we're in the process of doing. Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm just a lech. But if I see it, it means someone else is gonna see it, which means it's no good. So that is what I am currently going through the process of doing, is fixing this thing so that it's not staring at me. It might be a nothing burger issue, but if I see it, I need to fix it. So I saw it, gotta fix it. Not happy about that, but there it is. I've been looking at Spelljammer for like literally like 25 years, and I'd never seen that before. And last night I'm sitting there and I'm like, wait a second. that looks a lot more suggestive than the content I want to produce. So I'm going to, even if it's in my own head, it's in my head. So I guess it's my fault, but I just wanted to fix it. So that's what we're going through the process of doing right now. That's probably more of a comment about me than anything else. So love me for all my flaws. I'm trying to do the best I can with what tools I've been given. As well as showing myself, Enigmas have me redrawing all those masterpieces. One of the hopes is running the adventure was to provide feedback to you. You know what? Hey, I appreciate it. Thanks, Nitro. I just wanted. I have utter faith in Stuart Bras and his ability to parse the data that's inside of the adventure into a more digestible format. But as far as you being a DM, I think more than anything is how easy is it for you to use the content? How easy is it for you to improvise with it? And does it provide, even in the format that I gave it to you, even if it's sloppily constructed right now, and boy, I understand it's a rough document. But the value is, with the content that's there, is it easy for you as a DM to riff off of? Because no adventure is unchanged by the DM. DMs change everything in adventures, at least components of it, if not everything, a lot of it. So I just want to make sure that the way that the information is presented, even in its crappy format as it is now, that it's something that you're confident in being able to screw around with it. Like it's digestible, you know? And if there's aspects of it that don't make sense, that's important, because we can address that during the editing stage, which is where we're at in right now. So yeah, having some feedback is obviously going to be super helpful. But more than anything, it was fun for players to run inside of when we were testing it. It's 10:30. I've got a little bit more time. So we had about a dozen different players run through the adventure when I was DMing it, and now Nitro, you're the third DM to run it, and so far we haven't gotten a lot of pushback on just the information itself. So I'm just trying to make sure that stays consistently true. Like if there's something that doesn't make any sense, I'm more interested in what solutions did you come up with as a DM than anything, I think. I don't know. I'm just kind of talking out of my ass, so don't mind me. I got about a half hour left and then I'm done. Just to give you all a heads up. Nerf. Let's see. Yeah, I know, right? Falcon smiling at the same time. Yeah, so I gotta fix that. So these are fixes that we are implementing to get rid of that phallic smiling. If it was intentional, it'd be one thing, but it's not, so gotta fix it. There was an AL map, and it had a ship on it, and yeah, it looked really suggestive when it zoomed out. Ball vistas. Right. It happens, man. It's these those shapes exist in nature for a reason. Wait, the mage's tower. That mage are definitely overcompensating. Legit. Yeah, it's when it's an accident and you didn't realize you're doing it. That's, to me, that's where the problem is. I've got like a dozen alarms going off. What the deuce? Where are we at? 10:30? Yeah, we're still doing fine. Yeah, I'm really leaning into my screen. I should really just zoom in. Spent my whole life moving my body to zoom in. I still haven't gotten used to using zoom tools on Photoshop after 20 years. Old habits die hard, yos. So mad shout out to Fred Willer, How to RPG. He was the one that was talking about how role-playing games need more informative visual assets. If you're going to talk about a castle, maybe you should have a picture of a castle instead of a picture of a scroll. Or like if you're talking about siege weapons and stuff, maybe you should have a picture of a siege weapon instead of a goblin drinking a beer. You know, like. And that really made me take a look at my document. I was like, you know what? I'm trying to make, I'm almost apologetically simplifying the mechanics in this game, or in this supplement, when it's an incredibly complicated mechanical concept that we're trying to break down into simple ideas. Like when we're role playing it, explaining it to a new person that's stepping in, it takes like 5 minutes to explain how the thing works, like everything, like how scaling movement works, scaling maps, action economy, all that shit just takes a few minutes to explain. And it's like, oh yeah, I get it. And then you can run for hours. And it's like, hey, does this work? It's like, well, yeah, we could do that. And like, you can make really fun rulings on the fly with different stuff to, again, you know, establish how mechanics work inside of your game. But all of this structure is super simple to explain in a conversation. But then to put it on a page of text, it's like when I'm explaining something, I can push tokens around and zoom in and out of maps and move one token to another map to show how you're changing scale without changing position, blah, 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 blah. You know, it's like, it's really easy just to summarize and explain on the fly, but as a static document that I can't answer questions or engage in the conversation, it has to be thorough. And so I was realizing here that I was trying to apologetically simplify the process to not overburden the reader with too much information, to try to make them take too many steps too far away from what they're used to on a 5-foot square map. But what I actually need to do is lean into it and provide more detail and more images and more diagrams, so that I make it just dummy simple, obvious. Like, this is how that stuff works. And to leave no question about, you know, this is how it's supposed to play out. So that's the process that we're going through. It's forcing me to kind of shuffle around. I'm going to duplicate that layer, hide it, and then merge this down. And then merge this to that. There we go. I don't have a page count. I don't have an art budget other than the amount of time I'm willing to invest in it. So I may as well invest more time to make sure that I am just really spelling stuff out. And if I do it well and it's aesthetically pleasing, then it shouldn't be too much of a lift to get people from the 5-foot scale to the 500-foot scale. But it's frustrating because it's really slowing down my rate of progress. But once I nail this language, it's going to really just pave the path for the rest of the document. So it's definitely worth spending the time right now to get it done right, so I can minimize the amount of explanation I need later on in the document. And I've been like, the rest of the document like assumes that you get how scaling and movement works. So the rest of the document can remain pretty much as is. It's just locking this down is going to be really helpful. Blah! Another timer. Whatever, dude. Let's just keep it going. Just like that. There we go. There. And since all these ships are symmetrical, I only have to do one side, and I can just lift and duplicate, flip it to the other side. So, a Freudian ship. Isn't a slip the name of a small boarding vessel, like a rowboat? Oh no, a slip is the dock where you moor boats to, I believe. And I think there's also sloops. I think there's I don't know what a sloop is, but I believe that is also a nautical term. Slips and sloops. I think these dudes were all drunk. Praise. Too fun. You guys are great. This is all just pissing me off, so... yeah. Let's do that. Like, why is this so difficult? It's because I'm doing it wrong. Clearly. There. That's better already. Now let's make a new layer. There. All that. Curve that out. That's some Temple of Syrinx type of noises going on over there. Whatever this song's doing. Man, I haven't listened to Rush 2112 in ever. I'm only gonna do that today. What a freaking great album. I remember buying a cassette tapes of Rush every month. I would go out and buy another one of their albums. They had like 16 of them at the time. I think they're up to 23. Well, I mean, Peart's dead now. Peace out. Peace out, Peart. But I think they put out 22 actual 22 albums and like 6 live albums, like 3 compilation albums. Russia is just a monster. Let's drop the opacity on this so we know the size of a circle we're supposed to destroy. Bam, that should be good. Perfect. Yeah, that turned out right. Bippity boppity boop. I don't need to mess with that. What I do need to mess with is how we do this? Hold on. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. And we already have the right color, so we can just go with that. Where's my face? Here it is. Hi. What kind of a timer I got going right now? I've got about 10 minutes left. Where's my timer at? Timer's at 9 minutes. So there we go. So we're gonna finish this last burst, and then I'm gonna kick out of here for the day. Get back to some design work. Hopefully I'll be able to knock stuff down today. I have a lot of free time for myself. I get to play D&D. One of my friends from Arizona has a Roll20 game going. It's 7th level right now. I'm playing a Rakdos Goblin, Rakdos Kobold Artificer. The Battlesmith. So I have a mechanical dog minion, and I've got 7 levels of Artificer, and he is letting me use both my color magic. So I have red and black mana for Rakdos, and he's letting me use martial powers. So my robot dog has I can use infusions to give my robot dog different powers. So he's got I think he has Repelling Strike, or the Thundering Strike, which lets which he can use as part of the opportunity attack that the defender dog gets to hit creatures that attempt to attack me. I get an opportunity. The dog gets an opportunity attack, and if the attack hits, I can spend a point of mana and then push that. Not only deal extra damage, but also push the enemy 10 feet away for each point of mana that I spend. So I can channel the powers through the dog to attack enemies, and so it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I don't get to play a lot, and I'm a forever DM and have been for decades. But occasionally I get to play a game, and when I do, it's awesome when the DM lets me play test, test my own stuff, play it, actually play it myself. And I fucking love it. I love how color mana forces you to make decisions about what spells are you going to know and how are you going to distribute your mana pool between different colors to cast those spells. It's like a very low-key control. It's like a narrative sweet spot between what Pathfinder does and where 5th edition is at. That you can cast any spell that you want as long as you have enough color mana to do it. And when you run out of a color, you can't cast those spells anymore. So it's been a lot of fun balancing between the red and the black magic to be able to produce the effects that I want. Comments. I'm playing my friend's take on Tyranny of the Dragon Type. Nice. I'm playing my Dragon PC. Cool. Right on, man. Is it? Are you using a third-party product to express the dragon, or did you homebrew something with your DM? Nice. Very nice. That's the nice thing about 5th edition. It's incredibly customizable. And as long as the DM and the rest of the players feel that whatever you come up with is balanced against the rest of the team, then, cheers. my take on the DMsGuild in general is, if you've fleshed out a homebrew rule to the point where it's covering all the bases on how it interacts with the actual mechanics of Dungeons and Dragons, it's at a state where you can publish it for other people because you've fleshed it out and you've thought through the scenarios and you have the caveats resolved. Like it becomes something viable that you can offer to other people. Like, hey, we've really fleshed this out and made it make sense and it works with all the different aspects of the game. And here's guidelines for fringe cases that we may not have been able to detect. Like once you get to the point where you can consistently provide that sort of response or that level of insight for whatever it is that you're building, then it's like, this is a publishable thing. You have effectively created variant mechanics that are worth investing in. You know, assuming that you guys find it's fun. A lot of my complaint with a lot of third-party content is that it's a neat idea, but they don't flesh it out, or they don't pick up on contradictions. So I'm snobby about what I'm willing to purchase. Like if I pick up a document and like within 5 minutes I'm seeing logic issues and how the system breaks down and how it doesn't work, I'm like, I don't want to buy it. Which is one of the reasons why I make everything full previews. Like if you got a problem with my designs, you need to know that before you're willing to sink money into it. That way you don't give me a shitty review. It's like, yeah, I bought this thing and it just doesn't work. It's like, wow, enjoy your 2-star review. Like people don't want me buying their stuff unless it's really good. But the nice thing about PDFs is that they're easy to fix. So when people do pick up on flaws, I've fixed a lot of stuff in my books over the time. Like, yeah, this doesn't quite do what I want it to do, or I didn't realize expressing this way created this loophole that allows you to X, Y, or Z. So another reason why I like to have a lot of illustrations in my books in general is because it creates a lot of bandwidth for me to be able to like alter the size of the image a little bit so I can add in some additional text if necessary. Or if I can get rid of some text and present the information more cleanly, I can expand the illustration to fill in that gap. And the color mana system's gone through enough edits and there's been enough evolution of play style with it in my campaigns that it's now ready for a new formatting. So assuming that when one D&D releases, we're still allowed to publish stuff, I'm going to go through and update after Eberron, after this book, after Eberron, after Martial Powers are all released. Then I'm going to go back through and just edit the core mechanics book, like reformat it, clean it up, add Theros, add Strixhaven, just provide a more thorough document. There's spell point sorcerers that's like 90% done, but I put it on hold for this project. I can get back to that. I love spell point sorcerers. They're so fucking cool. All right, that's my timer. Do this real quick. Drop this in. And then you can see I can duplicate these layers, free transform, flip horizontal. I said I want to play a Winged Tiefling flavor, my dragon PC, and he was like, no, you can't join as your dragon because they are four-legged. It's like, that's wow, that's dumb. I mean, hey, people have rules, you know? Sometimes people have silly rules. But people have rules. They're just basically telling you that that aren't worth your time. Bam! There we go. So yeah, this is what we built. We made this. I made this. Here and here, and let's just make sure on the map proper. There we go. Look what I can do. And then we can do that. And we can put all the boards in, you know? We'll get to that. Maybe I'll just... Oops. Maybe I'll just do that. Oh, I kind of like that. I kind of like that. We'll do that. All right, hey, I gotta go. I've got a brunch heading my way. So, let's see. That's it for now. I'm going to probably pick at this on my own. We'll see. Maybe I'll come back with this later on. But yeah, that's where we're at. So, agreed. Thank you. Yes. So yeah, we fixed it. We did the thing. And so task complete. I'm liking how this page is sitting. Blurp. We'll see about this fade. I'm not 100% on it yet, but I like the idea of it. I'm gonna just. Where were we? That's where we are. Save there before we bounce out. Just gonna push this stuff for a minute. I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but this is the kind of stuff that I'm playing with right now, like formatting and like general appearance of it. Like, do I want to have stuff squeezed in like that? Probably not. It's probably better that I don't do that stuff. It's going to end up being sloppy and it's going to take a fuck ton of work. I'll never be fully satisfied with it. So chances are it's better that I just block that stuff off. It's a neat idea. I just don't think it's going to work the way that I want it to. Just real quick here. Sorry, I'm supposed to be going, but, you know, as usual, hang time is a thing. Good. Oh, woof. Straight edge, Kearney. Straight edge. Cool. Okay, so that's our bit. We are done for now. I'm going to be back on Monday morning. We're going to probably continue with character tokens. I'm thinking about moving martial powers to Tuesdays instead of Mondays, because Monday night I'll be doing more Eberron cartography, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday mornings I'll be doing more Light of Xeraxis NPC token art. So Monday and Thursday night we'll do Eberron cartography, and that probably means we'll do martial powers on Tuesday. I like the sound of martial power Monday because it rolls off the tongue nicely. But there's a lot of content that I'm packing into one day. Having 3 different stream sessions, it kind of bunches up a little bit. So I think I want to spread out that and put the powers on Tuesday and have a more relaxed week for myself, so I'm not so pressured. But that's it for now, guys. I really appreciate you guys hanging out. Thanks a lot. Anyone that's lurking out there in the fray, I do this almost every day of the week, except for Sundays. It's my day of rest. So I'll be back next week and for the foreseeable future into next year. So if you like this stuff, like, subscribe, tag along, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Thanks a lot for being here.